Hey everyone, welcome to Master Live. I'm Shane,
I'm Abby.
and today we are going to talk a little bit about the Mastra Hackathon that's going on right now, Mastra.BUILD, and we're going to bring on a few guests. One person's going to talk about what they're building during the hackathon, and then we also have someone who's going to learn alongside us. We are going to work with him to see what he can build in maybe half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. We actually met this guy at a random. There's a bar in the Dog Patch,
Yeah,
Olfactory Brewery,
yeah.
solid brewery, by the way.
Where they were serving pizza.
They were serving pizza.
Well,
Yeah,
not their pizza. We had to bring in pizza, but that was the random AI events that that you are a part of.
yeah. Like we said in like a couple streams ago. Like if you want to eat for free in San Francisco, go on Luma, look up any AI event that starts at 6 p.m. and you'll on Twitter all these people are like I'm living off $1,500. Like I feel like that's how you do it. You know,
Yeah, yeah. It's like you used to be like ramen profitable. It's like pizza profitable. You just
pizza profitable.
you just eat pizza for free in San Francisco
Yeah, we
as
have
much.
zero burn, and our groceries come from AI meetups.
Yeah, at least 5 days, 5 meal. You can get 5 solid meals a week minimum,
Yeah, dude. And then
maybe
you just
more.
and then you go dumpster diving with the other fools in SF.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're quality meals. A lot of carbs, and but you get some good pizza, some bad. I guess depends on the quality of the meetup.
Yeah,
I judge meetups by the quality of the pizza that they provide.
yeah. Like the better the pizza, the more that they understand the trope, and
Yeah,
then like the more they invest in like good
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
So I feel like people should just have better pizza.
Yeah, for sure. Um, well, as we sometimes say, we are not sponsored, but if we were, we're sponsored by Principles of Building AI Agents. I got my book back here. Abby, did you bring one with? I know you're not in the Palace of the Dog today.
I'm not in the Palace of Dog. Let me double check if I got my Book of Mastra on me.
You need to always have to carry the Book of Mastra.
I don't, dude. How am I
Okay,
gonna
you are
jump
not
a musical?
prepared. You're not prepared. You failed. You failed the test
I
today.
failed the test.
Um, yeah, but we are all admirals of AI, as we like to say, and
Yeah.
so we're going to try to convert a few more people. At least Huey, as when he joins later, we're going to be building. We're going to talk through his use case. He has some ideas of things he wants to build with Mastra, and we'll just try to help him out. And you all can hopefully, if you're not familiar with Mastra, learn alongside him and use the chat for questions, whether you're on YouTube or X or LinkedIn, wherever you're seeing this, you can make a comment to the chat and we can pull it up and see what what you all are asking or what you want to
Yeah.
what do you want to see from what we're building. But what else is on your mind, dude? What do we had a new release today, right?
We had a new release today. I'll kind of go over that real quick. Let me find my screen here. Nope. Before I first I want to show off. Um, we get a lot of questions about like how our release process works, or when can you expect releases and stuff. And so Monster right now is pre 1.0, so we're in a we do follow Semver as much as we can, but we are pre 1.0, so essentially we're in like technically any time can be a breaking change. We try not to, but this is kind of what it was. So we release alphas every day. I think we're about to release another alpha from some fixes that just happened. So the alpha channel is pretty much the daily channel. You'll get updates for every PR that we merge. We publish alphas for them. If you need fixes, they're usually in there. And if you need us to fix anything, or we broke some shit, or there's a bunch of bugs, we'll fix it there. And then on Tuesdays, which is today, we do a stable release. We could do a stable every day if we wanted to, but it's good when you're an engineering team moving at a pace to have like some type of day where you're going to make a draw a line in the sand and say, hey, this is what we're going to put out today. So that's pretty much how it works. If anyone wants to, I'll put this in our stream here. If anyone wants to read this, so we don't have to answer questions about it, it's right here. And yeah, so the highlights of this release, there are two main highlights that I really want to talk about. One is we have MCP support in Mastra, like MCP server support in Mastra. So you can build MCP servers, attach them to the Mastra server, and then deploy them to the cloud provider that you want, which is dope. You can kind of collect all your MCP servers together, deploy them, and if you're using SHTTP, we also support SSE. But if you're using all those, you can then pretty much deploy MCP servers and then use them in your editor or MCP clients. So that's one that was pretty sick. And then the second one up to note is we added runtime context to the playground. So runtime context is a huge feature for us where you can do dynamic things in agents and tools and stuff. So the problem is we added runtime context, people started using it, but then if you go to Mastra Playground, runtime context is empty. So if you made assumptions in your application and you want to test them, how do you do that? So we added like a little runtime context playground thing where you can add context and then you can run actions in there. So those two things should improve quality of life for a lot of people. What about you, Shane? Any excitements from this release today?
Yeah, I mean, we did ship. We ship. You can pass a workflow to an agent. That went out.
Yep, that's a good one too. You can
So
pass workflows to agents.
That's like a small thing because you could always just wrap a workflow call in a tool and you could pass the tool to the agent. So it wasn't like it was that much code, but we just made it really easy. It feels feels more ergonomic when you can just like create an agent and give them workflows, and those workflows just show up basically as tools to that agent. And so it allows you to kind of, I don't know, build some pretty interesting, complex use cases where you can build. We had office hours today for the hackathon, which essentially is just us hanging out in Discord in a chat. And we had, maybe a dozen or so people join and just talk about some of the stuff they were building. And one person just asked a question: how can I get somehow decide between, have some agent that decides between workflows? They wanted to almost like build it into the workflow. And I said, well, now you can just create an agent, pass the workflows to the agent in your system prompt, basically write the routing logic, and then let the agent decide which workflow to call based on whatever the prompt is, whatever the condition is that would trigger that. And that's kind of a nice way to weave agents and workflows together. So you can get the best parts of a little bit more determinism with workflows, but still kind of weave agents into the mix.
Yeah, and like that actually brought up a second thing that's happening in Discord, right? Which is once you have like a top level agent and you have workflows running that may call sub agents, you want to merge the stream that you're giving your user, right? Like let's say you're doing a stream and use chat or something. All these workflows are running agents too, and you want to like hook into the mainstream in your UI. So we're gonna work on that kind of coming up. I can actually show. So Ward has been Ward the farmer. If anyone doesn't know Ward, he's a farmer. He's like the top level of the engineering food chain.
Yeah, as we've learned, I don't was it Goosewin had a tweet where it basically said above principal engineer is farmer, right? So you eventually just you grow past principal and you become a farmer. So that was Ward's trajectory.
Yeah. So for us, we don't have. Let me share my screen real quick. So we have this draft PR that we're working on right now for workflow streaming. So like workflows, if you look at the agentic landscape, right, it's all like assistant bots or chat bots and chat UIs. But how do you chat with the workflow? It's not really the same thing, right? The AI SDK has this thing called the data stream protocol, which we also use. And so we're trying to like form that protocol into our workflows. That way, when you can have workflows events in the data stream. You can also call sub agents, and then those would come into the data stream. And here also I'll put this in the restream, so if people want to read it, they can. But this is kind of like the next thing we're trying to get going, which is, one, can you stream workflows? And then what's the UX around that? Like, what does the UI look like when you interact with their workflow? Because it's not necessarily a chat. Maybe it's like some tan stack form or whatever, and then I don't know. So we got to talk to people who are smarter than us about that.
Yeah, definitely. And we do have a special guest.
Yeah.
So we have two special guests today, as I mentioned. For those of you that have joined in since we started, I'm Shane. This is Abby. We're from Mastra. We are talking about the hackathon that's going on right now. Go to Mastra.BUILD if you haven't already. You can still sign up. It's going on all week, so it's only Tuesday. There's still a lot of time to sign up and get submissions in. But we're having, and I am going to try to pronounce your name correctly, but I'm bringing you on, so you definitely correct me if I mispronounce. Vinicius is actually in the hackathon building something, and so wanted to come in, share what's getting built, and we will then learn a little bit about it, see how it's getting built and how we can maybe help, or if nothing else, get some feedback from those of you that are watching. So let's bring him on.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Thank you for having me. It's
Thanks for
it's
being
very
here.
nice to be here. And thank you for organizing the hackathon as well. It's quite brilliant, an opportunity to bring the community together. Yes, so I'm Vinicius, and I am building. You can call it like an AI dev tool. So it serves as both as a knowledge assistant and also um, as a dev tool that it's a reimagining of how performance dev tool could look like when you put AI and agents as main stage and main driver. So let me share the screen.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to actually see it. That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is like a show and tell.
Yes. So I've been using Mastra as a main driver. So I tried out a lot of different frameworks before landing on Mastra, and I wanted to make sure that I was using the best tool for the job, so to speak. So this is built with Mastra and built with Vercel AI SDK and also Next. It's based off of a fork of mine of Chrome DevTools to read the trace files. So let me drag a trace here into this. So I'm just dragging a standard, Google Chrome trace. And what you have right off the gate is suggestions based on one of the endpoints from the assistant. So there is several assistants built with Mastra, and there are several workflows, and it's built on top, like it's built to kind of emulate a mixture of experts, like architecture, where you have different experts and different workflows based on what kind of topics I'm trying to answer. So it's been built with that purpose. And then you have here right off the gate, because this is built as, reducing the friction and lowering the barrier of entry to users that are trying to solve problems about performance, but they don't necessarily, they don't necessarily feel comfortable on going to the performance tab and trying to understand the flame graph and all that kind of stuff. So right out the gate, you have, based on what the agent sees on the trace, you see some recommendations from what you can answer or what you can ask the agent. So he sees that LCP is a big problem for this trace, and also sees rendering paths and as a problem. Let me grab another one. Let's see here. So if I can, I'm trying to bring as little of a dev tool as possible into this. So I'm generating some stats based on the trace that I see, some histogram based on activity within the trace, and also you can just change different navigations, because within the trace you can have more than one. And then here you see different recommendations for that. So I can try to see how can I improve my INP based on this. So it will run the workflows on, and it will try to assess what kind of option should the agent provide. So it can just one shot an answer like it's trying to do here, based on overall knowledge around a certain topic. But I can also ask it to analyze the trace. how about the INP score on the trace? So it's going to analyze the trace and generate a report. So it will grab relevant information from the trace, give to the master agent, and run a specific workflow to give insights based on this this trace. So it will try to understand, basic values from the metric specifics. So as you can see here, I have it's still going on the generation of the reports. There you go. So as you can see, I have 285 milliseconds for this INP score, and it try to give overall recommendations and also give specific recommendations based on what it says on that trace file. So the specific moment in time the interaction happened, how the interaction loop would look like inside of a trace, a quick snapshot of the call stack, and some observations that you can get out of that call stack. So what kind of emerging patterns there are. So it says here that I have a Next.js recursion loop of sorts. So I could try to fix that. Yeah, and I mean, you can also ask for the deep research. Can you research on the topics, on the recommendations given? And you run a deep research form of analysis. So you grab whatever he has learned and execute some research. Like it's rudimentary right now, of course, but the basics of the workflow is already in place. So it will come up with a plan and execute on that plan for researching and gathering different URLs and ranking them, and also analyzing them to generate a report.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Dude, this is dope.
Yeah, this is really cool. I have so many questions. We are not going to have time for all of them, but we have like 5 minutes. Anything else that you wanted to show before I just pepper you with questions? Because ultimately,
Yeah.
I want to know, like, dude, how'd you build this? Like, let's talk about it. I think that's what the audience. I'm speaking through the audience. The audience wants to know.
All 76 of them.
Yeah. They want to know how they could build something, not exactly like this, but something like this. So first of all, anything else you want to show before we start hammering you with some questions?
Yeah, I mean, this is the gist of the project. It will generate reports and generate insights based on trace data to help you developers solve performance problems, right? And also it serves as a knowledge assistance through the deep research, so you can come up with different research plans based on what you have learned and what the agent has learned whilst analyzing different traces. Yeah, this is what I have for now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very
all
cool.
right. So first question: how do people access it? Is this something that they're going to be able to download and try out? Where's it going to live?
Yes. Right now I have a page up. So agent. So I can put it here on the chat. Hang on.
Yeah. If you should be able to hopefully just drop it in the chat. And for some reason, my chat is not working. Can you drop that in the chat, Abby?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it has a wait list, and I'm gonna be opening for broader access very, very soon. I'm starting to just prepare the release, because there are different workflows that I need to plan, and working with this complex attribute. I'm right now building attribution models in order to extract information out of the trace, build attribution models before handling stuff to the agents to gather better insights. Because I've done a lot of experiments on just extracting raw data out of trace and handling to the agent, and that does get you far, but like it gives you very generic stuff. So building attribution models that it serves as a proxy between raw data and the agent, extracts a lot better information out of it.
What model are you using?
I'm using Gemini.
Very cool. So I had a feeling you were using Gemini for some reason.
It's just I had a feeling, because I'm using Chrome DevTools source code. So actually I've extracted parts of the trace engine internals from Chrome DevTools in order to generate the standard libraries or JavaScript libraries out of it. And that's kind of what it powers the main intelligence of it all. So I felt like, I'm building a lot of stuff also based on how Google Chrome is building AI. So because I'm extracting a lot of stuff straight from Google Chrome source. So I felt like might as well just use Gemini as well on top of it. It made sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have the long context windows as well, which is probably helpful if you're sending, depending on the types of data you're sending into the context. How are you weaving in between workflows and agents? That's something that we constantly get asked. Is this an agent? Is this a workflow? Is it an agent that calls a workflow? Is it a workflow that calls back to the agent? So I'm just curious, can you give us the high level of like maybe one interaction, like how it works, so people, as they're kind of architecting, they can think through, okay, that makes sense.
Yes. So as I mentioned briefly, I'm kind of modeling this to express the overall architecture very similar to how mixture of experts, the model architecture looks like. So it kind of becomes like there is an initial stage within it, which is as just a small assistant that will try to become like, it behaves like the router within the mixture of experts. And that will help me bring the right heuristics in place to trigger workflows or agents based on that. And then, of course, I have different agents that serves as what I can, create experts based on, right? Like, so when you think about the expert within the mixture of experts, so different agents will serve as experts, and then the expert tasks to execute becomes workflows that can also trigger different experts. So if I'm trying to find a very specific information about, networks, so if I have also, like, I didn't get to show, but like I also have reports for LCP, which is all about networks entries, and for that I have a specific routine to extract information out of a workflow within Web Vitals analysis from the trace. There is a specific also a system that is ran within that workflow.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're like sorry, 1 second. We are trying to build this into like an abstraction, which we had started called Agent Network, which is purely calling other agents in this. You have like a routing agent and all the other agents as tool calls, but there's some pitfalls in just doing that blindly, right? So there's like should be some structure in between, like maybe like the whole routing to handoff is like such a deterministic thing, but the steps themselves, like who knows what's going to happen in there. And then like, how do you know the task is actually done, right? So you have like mini little like fact check assistant or a solution complete type of assistance that you'll need.
Yeah.
And especially you need to run like complex workflows that are essentially tool calls and stuff. I love how you like kind of like all these processes are happening. I like how you weaved it all together into the UI, so it makes sense. So that's dope.
Yeah, I mean, the generative UI is kind of where I'm leaning on, because it starts like, since there is so much power baked in behind the curtain, I felt like I could enable the overall interface to be as simple as possible, and then utilize leaning on generative UI to just generate bits of information and UI as required, and it becomes less intrusive, because when you are trying to analyze a trace within DevTools, if you're an expert, that's fine. But like when you're not, that's a lot of noise and a lot of friction, and you just don't know what you're looking at and what you're searching for. And that's kind of what I wanted to get onto the smallest possible subset of UI.
Awesome work, man. And thank you for coming on the stream. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And for those of you, that want to agent.perflab.io, go ahead and check that out.
And Shane and I are not judges, so we're not biased by anything.
Yeah, we don't get to judge. Yeah,
but if I were to judge, I wouldn't say anything right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very strong contender, which is great to share. And again,
thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming on, and we are looking forward to seeing what more you get done this week, and also looking forward to seeing if you make the podium at the awards ceremony on Friday. But yeah, it was great chatting, and yeah, just looking forward to seeing how it all comes together.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, take care.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you. All right, that was pretty sick. So what are you thinking, chat?
All 94 of you.
Yeah. What do you think of that? We have another guest, and this one is going to be a little bit different. We're going to actually spend a little time kind of going back to the basics and starting to just think through, like, how can we build a Mastra agent? And so I'm excited for this one too, because this is going to be, I think, really helpful for people who've been trying to figure out how to get started in this AI world, right? In this world of building and deploying and productionizing AI agents. And so with that,
Hey,
Huey, what's happening?
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's
Good.
going.
That's great.
Yeah, I guess first question, can you tell a little bit just about yourself and what has kind of interested you in Mastra and what we're going to try to do today? So I guess that's 3 questions in one, not to put you on the spot.
Sure. Let me know if I missed anything. So my name's Huey. I've been a web dev for over 20 years now. I moved out here to California, but what I'm interested in using Mastra for is, over the last few years, I've been working as a sales compensation in that field, which is really a lot about, taking in information from people and then building out some sort of structure so that you can go and calculate and make it be flexible and adjust it for when business needs change. So one of my, I was using this tool, and then I started building some extensions on top of it. And then now I'm like, this really could just be an agent that you ask it, it asks you questions, you give it answers, it asks more clarifying questions, and you can get to probably 80% of a working tool, right? I love the simplicity of Mastra, so I'm trying to, but I need a little bit of help because, it's I think for a web dev, there's a lot of different moving pieces, right, in an agent, and so that's kind of like why I was joining you guys today, so that maybe we can go through some of that. There was a third question that maybe I've missed.
I think you got it. I was more, your background, what why we want to build something, and then I guess maybe we can talk a little bit. I guess, Abby, you have any questions before we just actually jump in and start building something together?
Now let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we like to do around here. For everyone here, we got 100 people watching. Thanks for tuning in live. We just had a really cool demo from the hackathon, someone that's building for the Mastra Hackathon. Make sure to go to Mastra.BUILD if you are interested in joining the hackathon. It is not too late. Yeah, so please go to Mastra.BUILD, join us, start building, come to our Discord, and we can build something cool. But Huey, I know you had a couple of ideas for what you might be interested in doing. We have probably 40 minutes or so to try to do some damage. What kind of damage can we do?
Okay, how about we put it to a vote and see what the audience thinks?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is putting the audience on the spot. I like it. So audience interaction for the 100 of you watching across, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, X, wherever you are, just post a comment. What are our options? What are we choosing from?
All right. So option 1 would be we do a basic startup setup with Mastra, and then you guys help me figure out what prompts I need to work on, what the tool calls. I think I got a little bit there so that we can walk through that, and you can tell me where I'm on track or I'm off base. Option 2 would be we can like, I haven't done this yet, but I keep thinking that Mastra might be something that we could embed into a Chrome extension, and something that could be the basis for a lot of other tools that we can create. So that one is going to be a sort of like nothing there. We'll have to build from scratch and talk about it. But do the audience have any preferences?
All right, so here's our options. We can do a basic Mastra setup. Option 1, drop in the chat if you want to see us just spend some time going through a simple Mastra agent, working with some tools.
But isn't it more to Huey's business case though? It's not just a basic setup, right? Aren't we going to do something?
There'd be
It'd be more than a basic setup.
Yeah. So how do we do what? Sell option 1, Huey. We're going to give the chat a little time. Sell.
Okay, you guys can think about it, and I'll give you some background maybe on option 1. So sales compensation is something that every single business probably does, and as companies get larger, they're going to need some sort of system, right, to help them calculate their commissions. That's you can use Excel, you can use Google Sheets, whatever. You can use Access databases. So this particular field has gone through, there's been a lot of vendors, software that have tried to make this, make a platform for it, right? However, the challenge with this is that every industry is different. And even if you create a tool for something, if you're not an expert in that tool, it's gonna be hard for you to use it, right? So you always have to find somebody who's an expert or train them, and that's what the difficulty is. And with AI nowadays and with Mastra, and if you, not necessarily just Mastra, but with AI, like you should be able to create a more interactive, right? More, there we go, sales tool. So like the idea is that this tool will be an agent that we would host on the cloud, Mastra Cloud, and you would go sign in, ask it question, tell it about your commission plan. It will extract that information out for you. It will create a basic, Q&A sort of like thing that you could say, hey, do this for me, right? Potentially, you can also end up doing a lot of workflows and saying like, hey, I have this person. These are the things that I go through to calculate their commission payout. Like there's some deterministic stuff, and there's some like agent LLM stuff that we could be helpful.
So we got a couple votes, but we're gonna have to. I think we just get to make the call. So, do the basic setup first. We can do the Chrome extension later. That's one option. Or Igor says, just go right to 2.
Okay. Well, so maybe we can keep the first part short, and then we just say like, give me some of the pointers that you guys.
I think we should start with. Let's start with the basics, because you've spent a little time with Mastra, right? But I would say you'd probably agree you're not an expert. And so maybe that's for the audience who's looking and considering building. Why don't we just start with the basics, and then if we have time, we'll go from there. Or if we don't get to it, maybe that's a future live stream. Let's build a Chrome extension. So I think we have options.
There's a lot to discover in just this beginning phase of like, like we can prototype this very quickly though, 100%.
Yeah.
Share my screen.
Yeah. You want to drive? We'll watch it.
And now we're ready to vibe. So let's play some vibes and share your screen, and
definitely bump up the clicks on that one.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take it up a few clicks. So for those of you just joining us, you joined late. We talked about the Mastra Hackathon, talked about the Mastra release. We had a special guest come on and share what they're building in the hackathon. And now Huey is here. He is going to be kind of walking through building his first agent with Mastra, or at least starting from kind of the basics and saying, how do we give an agent some sales tools? That's his background. He wants to learn how to build an AI agent that can automate some of these sales tasks.
Yeah, so perfect.
We're going to help him out. And, feel free to drop messages in the chat, and let's build.
Yeah, so
right,
I guess
what
we have so far right now is basically the Mastra create, and then I've added this tools section here for myself to call, and then that's pretty much it. Starting pretty bare bones here.
Let's take a look at the agent and look at like the system prompt or the instructions.
All right, so there's a system prompt here. I'm giving a very simple one. Your helpful sales commission agent that helps analysts with tasks. Primary function is to understand the user's request and provide the appropriate response. When responding, keep responses concise. Use the get employees tool, get opportunity tool, and get plan tool to fetch employee opportunity and plan details.
Cool.
Okay.
And like, have you run this agent yet?
Yeah. So I've got the get employee tool set up,
Mhm.
which here is what that looks like. So we start with this. I'm importing my .env for my API key. And then the tool definition here, we're passing in like an employee ID, name, and email. And the output schema actually, I think, is incorrect currently. But all we're going to do here is make an API call to the backend for the tool that I use.
Sweet.
Can you
And then-
can you explain what
Mhm.
CaptivateIQ.com is?
Yeah,
For
Captivate
people,
IQ.
for people that are not familiar,
For people that are not familiar,
Which is
they're
me.
actually.
which is actually me. So
I think a lot of people, if you're not in the industry, you will not be familiar with the tool. But they're also actually another. I'm pretty sure they're a YC company as well from end of 2017, beginning of 2018, and they're a no-code solution to doing this sales compensation, right? And it gives you the ability to import data from the different data sources, gives you a chance to make transformations on spreadsheets. So they're similar to Captivate. They're similar to like Google Sheets. You can define your transformations and joins. It's kind of more like a database almost in that sense. But at the ultimate end of it, you take data in, go through a bunch of logic, and you get some output for how much people are being paid.
Cool. So you got the get employee working, and did we get the server running so we could ask the agent to fetch some employee details?
Yes. So let me share that.
Also, are we in a
screen.
sandbox or something, or is it okay to like?
yeah. You're not going to
It is
leak
in-
any. You're not going to leak your favorite employee's compensation or something, right?
I will not. So
Okay.
yeah, this is my sandbox where I can do my development work in, and we don't have to worry about it. So this is running with the agents. I can go to the cap agent here,
Yeah.
and I will
Can we-
say,
Yeah. Can we maybe do a quick
Ooh.
zoom? It's a little bit, at least on my. Maybe you can go.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I
that's
keep
a little bit better.
Yeah. Is there a way to get rid of this stuff on the right? No.
You can like
currently.
scroll it a little
Yeah.
bit, maybe. Or otherwise, we don't have that feature.
Ah, there we go.
Oh,
oh, nope.
no, you can only go bigger.
You can make it bigger, not smaller. We'll take some notes.
That's a good note.
Oh, there,
Yeah,
that one
There
works.
we go. That'll help.
That helps a bit. Yeah. So I have a sample user. Can you tell me a bit about Charles, or maybe it's Charlie Kim? And so this is an API tool call, right? And it's getting the information there. It's got, hey, I got the full name, I got the email, their particular role. So this information is actually coming from the response, and I haven't given it any like formatting information, right?
Yeah, you're just returning the full data, and that's that. Cool.
Yeah. So this here, is there a way to share a second screen? Plus screen share? No. Okay, I'll have to go back to the other screen, I think.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure you can share two different screens at the same time.
Yeah, it's okay.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We're all learning here.
Yeah. So this response, I'm just returning directly. It's actually it's formatted a little bit differently. It does not look like this output schema.
Yeah.
So smart enough to format it still for the response.
That's because that output schema is more for you as a developer.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's good to know.
because AI doesn't really give a shit. I mean, it does. It cares more about the input schema, but it cannot control what you return.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it.
You
Got it.
basically have to. It's like a contract you have to satisfy, right? It's kind of the goal of it. Is like you should try to satisfy that contract, and then the AI can then take that returned data and do things with it.
I'm curious. In this particular case, this is fetching employee details, right? It's asking for this information. How would I modify this so that I don't need to pass in like any of these informations? These are all marked optional right now.
You need to like, how would you fetch it if it didn't pass it in though?
So if I don't pass in anything, it should give me back a list of all the employees, right? And my paginate
For sure. Would that be this tool, or should we make a list employees tool?
Let's do that. Just going to make a copy of this one. Let's see.
Because what we could do, right? So let's say let's work backwards. So let's say we have a list employees tool. We can see like, hey, can you check if Charlie Kim is in my list, and then pull up his record for me, like casual like that. You know what I mean? And that would be sick.
Yeah, and it should be able to weave the two
call both
together,
tools.
right? So calls the list, then says yes, calls the employee.
Yeah, that's actually one of the use cases I was thinking about, because you could say, give me information about Charlie, or hey, what was Charlie's last payout?
Yeah.
But you may have 2 or more people that are called Charlie. So it could respond with this list first. And then
Ooh,
say,
that's a good point. Let's do something about it after you get this tool call written up.
yeah.
I
So
think
this
you got to
should-
work on your instructions too.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that is it. I'm going to actually now try to say, hey, oh, you know what? Actually, not yet. So we created a new tool here for the list, but we haven't imported this list back into the agent at all, right? So
Exactly. Yeah, it's like you've done this before. You're familiar. You're getting familiar.
running into it. Okay, here we go. There it is. Get employee list tool, and then because I have not exported it from the thing here,
Yeah, you can tab to victory.
Tab equals to victory, dude. Always.
Yeah, tab to victory. That's what we do around here. So
should be it.
one thing that would be, once you pass it into your agent, one thing that would be kind of interesting is, I guess, here's my question, for you. How do you test this? Well, what's your method for testing? Because I know what my method is, but I'm just want to know. It's nice to hear from new users. Like, how do you go about testing that tool?
I think my current test scheme is go to the agent and chat.
Yes. Okay. So like I know Abby, you're a big like just test kind of guy, but the playground makes it kind of nice, so you don't have to even do that anymore. So could we go to the playground and just like test this tool in isolation, and then we'll test if the agent actually calls it?
Yeah.
I like to divide and conquer, right? Start with just making sure the tool is giving the right information, and then we'll test the agent. So if you actually go, I suppose if you refresh this page, get employee list is in the tools on the right, you can click on the bottom right, or you can go to tools. Yeah, either way. And so
this tool.
Yeah, so we do have to pass in the input, what was the structure of that? What was
It's actually just an empty nothing. I didn't have any input.
So let's go back to your let's go back to the code and just look at the input schema, make sure that was it just completely empty, or did we pass an empty object, just to make sure?
I think it was completely empty. So get employees list. Oh, I've got an error here.
Does this expect anything? Can we scroll
Just
down?
an empty object, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you remove input schema, what happens? And then I don't know, what's your get employee list? Yeah, it doesn't
You
expect
don't even need that.
anything. Now,
My tools, get employee. So hold on a second. Tools, get employees list tool. Okay, I can submit now. So let me share that. So essentially, if I had something there, it's expecting some sort of data, and then now it's.
sure. If you had this input schema, let's say you asked for a name, you wanted to like a search string or something, it would give you the field that you could then test. That way, you're kind of the AI agent in this case, testing it, right? And maybe we broke something. Did we break something?
Dude, we might have a UI issue here, baby.
Yeah.
This is why we do it live.
This is why we do. We do things live
We'll
around.
do this, Huey, to get around this. So if you go back to your code, just put like.
Okay, so that actually worked here. I said get Charlie, and it gave me Charlie.
Yeah.
I just give it a blank. It's actually giving me a list of 31 test employees that are in here.
Oh, I see. So it's already doing both.
It's already doing both because it's if you don't give it any data there.
I guess
So that's
a little
another
worse.
Do we need both tools?
I would have both tools. and I would make that get tools thing required for those like parameters. But I guess what you're saying is there an employee ID API, or is it always fetching a list and then, you know,
There,
filtering it?
yeah, I think there is an employee ID API, which
Then I would separate it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. You almost want like a lookup or a search.
Yeah.
And ideally, that search, can you pass in filters into that search?
yeah,
So that's almost like a employee search tool. You could pass in some kind of name or string or whatever, and then from there, because ideally you would want to like get the whole list without all the data if that's possible. And maybe the API, sometimes we're at the mercy of what the API provides.
Yeah.
So if the API just provides the list of all the objects, well then maybe it's just one tool call. You just let them get everything. But obviously then you have to think about like paginating the API requests or the response and all that.
yeah, that could get up. So this is what the API looks like. Let me share that real quick. And this time we need to zoom in a little bit.
Oh, nice. There's some filters. Sweet.
Yeah, so you have a list users, create user, get user, update and delete. And then for the list, you can, I think all of these are optional. They're query parameters. You can do offsets, you can order if you needed to. Then for the get user, you will need to have the employee ID or the user ID. And that's a required field.
Does Captivate have an MCP server?
I don't think so.
No problem. Because
Well,
we're essentially going to be creating one. Like to get all these tools together. Yeah.
that's basically what we're doing.
Yeah.
Honestly, is this an open? And this probably exists. Like there's I know there are people working on basically open API specs to MCP servers or open API specs to basically like tool calls. There's obviously like SDKs, for a lot of these APIs as well that take open API specs and give you, JavaScript, TypeScript SDK for it as well. So there are some tools we could pull in here, but it's kind of nice sometimes just.
Yeah, this is
API.
a good learning because if you were to, so for example, if you were to take the Open API spec and then translate it into tools or MCP, like that would work probably, but maybe not all parameters make sense for the LLM. Some are like human parameters,
Yeah.
depending on the API. But kind of like if you were to do this migration path of like bringing your API into this LLM world, you're kind of doing what we're doing, which is taking each endpoint and seeing like, okay, what does the tool version of this look like? What are the parameters? Okay, I need to encode those as my input parameters, and then you can actually, have the LLM actually access it properly, right? So I think let's keep going with our stuff, because what we really need to do after this is to like take our API docs and make all the tools, right? And then test the tools, make sure they all give data. Then we give the agent the tools, and then now you have all the APIs that you can call, and then you're kind of doing it a lot better.
Let's just do something in here.
And for those of you that just joined us, or that have joined us in the last few minutes, we are building out an example, kind of like a sales tool agent with Mastra. So Huey's come on to basically learn Mastra with us and try to build an agent. So we are kind of partway through that, where we have an agent that has access to some tools using Captivate IQ's API, and now we're trying to add some more tools to this agent and test them and see what kind of interesting things we can get this agent to do.
Let me try something different and just share my entire screen on my secondary screen so I don't have to keep toggling back and forth on this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see if I move this over here. And then I move this over here. Okay, so let me...
And we still only see, if you maybe reshare.
Screen over there. Okay, so now if I go to this, we're good. Nice.
We're in.
All right. We've got the list here. If we go back to this, we should be able to reload and check the list tools. Dummy doesn't do anything. Okay, it's working. So
Yeah,
I think if we don't, if we
on
don't
our
have the input, it's it's not, the UI is a little broken, but okay.
And we gave this to our agent already?
We did.
Cool. Let's go ask it to list some employees real quick.
Okay.
In the agent's view.
In this?
No,
Yeah.
in the...
Yeah, if you actually go to the agent, yeah, let's just see.
Let's see that. Okay, it's picking the right tool.
All in its right tool. All right.
List includes details in there, which I mean, so specific about these.
They'll be more
Okay.
specific. Maybe just say, give me all the first names or something, if we have.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting what happens here. So I'm interested to know how it works.
This is basically, we're like zero-shotting it. Oh, there we go. We have all the first names of the different people in here.
That's it. That's interesting. So it didn't call the tool again, right? If you look at it,
Because do you have memory in?
but if you look, it appears that memory is not added based on the message at the bottom of the screen, right? Agent will not remember. That's why I was saying this is going to be interesting.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
How do we know if it called it or not?
Well, it should tell you. Well, I guess you can go to traces. Let's see. Maybe you don't have storage turned on potentially.
Maybe let's talk about let's do that. Let's turn that on so that we can know how it's
What? And are you using? I guess another question. Are you using a recent version? I'm assuming of Mastra, right? Like the
He's
last.
not, but
probably
so
not.
UI.
So maybe we should do an update.
Okay.
Should we update Mastra quick, and then
Yeah.
that might fix some. I don't know how old. It looks a little old. I don't know if it's a little old. Could be just a couple weeks, but we move fast around here, so I don't know.
All right. What would I run here?
Let's go to your package JSON and see what modules you have. Nice.
And I also see you have a package lock, and this came up in office hours earlier. You have a package lock and a PMPM lock. So are you wanting to use PMPM or NPM?
I don't have a preference.
Use NPM.
Use NPM? I was going to say use PMPM.
Use whatever you want, actually.
Oh, so I would just get rid of one of them.
Got it.
And that way,
Load.
we might need to rerun like PNPM install, but we'll want to do some updates as well.
Okay. Yeah. So here, do I just go into terminal and just do an update on this?
I would do PNPM I, and then all the Mastra packages. So you can do Mastra core, and then do at latest at the end.
Yeah. That way you're making sure you're getting the newest version. You basically want to do that for you want all your packages to be. Yeah, so you see you went from 0.8.2, but you do want to do it for all your Mastra packages. So I would just do it for @Mastra/MCP, @Mastra/memory, and then just Mastra. And that way, they're all using the same version, essentially from the same release. Just in case there were some like dependencies.
Do I also just do @Mastra?
No, just Mastra. No,
just do Mastra by itself.
Okay, got it.
And
There we go.
Himanshu from the chat.
Yo, what's up? Thanks for tuning in, watching us build Mastra sales tool agents.
Let's see what breaks. Nothing broke, dude. That's dope.
In-memory deprecation warning.
Nice. That's good too. Well, it's not good, but it's good that it showed up. We are changing. We have a big not breaking change. It is a breaking change, but May 20th, we're kind of changing some internals. So we gave people a deprecation warning, so you know when that happens. But people will still be surprised. So
yeah. Well, we are announcing it here. Please upgrade. If you haven't upgraded in the last month, please check your the CLI, the terminal, for deprecation notices.
And we got Binayak. He's signing out. Good night, dude.
Yeah. See you, dude. Thanks for
coming.
joining. Okay, so you see we got a little improved UI. That's how we know it's fresh. Get the fresh UI here.
And we can
Got it.
see what it's called and everything.
Okay, and the trace is here as well.
All right.
Okay.
And
So let's now, so we can fetch lists, we can fetch the list, we can get the employee ID, but now we got to be like Charlie Kim. Actually, can we ask if Charlie Kim or works at the company real quick, just to see?
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Or actually, hey, ask if Shane Thomas works there, because it should be no.
Yeah.
Right?
not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Hell yeah. It's
Interesting.
gonna be no. Because once you add those filters, right, to the list view, the list query that you have, it'll be like Shane at Mastra is at this thing, it'll be no, right? And then you can do like a filtered list query
Yes.
if you match the API. So that's dope. Okay. So now let's figure out what Charlie Kim's up to, because that fool needs some money, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we have that
Ultimately, salespeople like to get paid.
Yeah.
They
So-
love getting paid.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what's
If you,
our next move then?
Okay, so maybe we need a separate tool that says how much is this person getting paid. So if we look at the list of APIs that are available to us,
Do we already have that on Get Employee? Or is that
no,
available?
we
Looks
don't.
like payouts. Payouts looks like a separate API endpoint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but if we get the employee information, I imagine we get the ID. From
Yeah.
there, we can look up that, that person's payouts. That's
Yeah. So yeah, the agent will like look up Charlie, and then it'll ask for the payouts once we have the payouts tool.
This may be where we need to start actually talking about some workflows, because the APIs as provided by the company does not have, hey, for this employee, give me their payouts, right?
Mhm.
You can see here, this payout is giving us a list of payout dates, payout summaries, commissions plans, peer groups, and all this other information. If we needed to get that information, we would have to make a few calls, and then in order to construct like another call to go and fetch the actual payout.
so. This
I'm
is
getting excited just talking about it. Let's
yeah.
do
So,
it.
so this is where you can actually, for those of you just tuning in, this is a really interesting dilemma, right? You're trying to do something that the API doesn't allow you to do. A couple of ways that I could see that if I were building this, I could approach it. First, you just give the agent all the tools and you tell it how to look up that information. That's risky. You might get the right answer some of the time. Maybe it doesn't always give the right answer. Mainly because you probably give it a whole bunch of other tools. And so now you're saying, if you need this information, do these 3 steps, piece the information together. Where if you know it's always, you're basically just wiring up specific APIs. That's where, yeah, you could just wire up a simple workflow that says look up payout for employee, and then it runs a couple API calls and just returns the final. You're basically kind of like building a flow for the agent a workflow for the agent to just call.
So Huey, if I'm understanding this correctly, like we're gonna ask the agent like, hey, I need the payouts for Charlie. But what it has to do, it has to like kick off like 5 API calls to assemble the result that will then make the call to then get Charlie's payout. So essentially what we want the agent to do is like call the payout workflow. And at the end of it is Charlie's payout that I'll get back.
Yes.
Okay, let's build that.
That sounds like a pretty sick
Let's build that. Let's
pretty
build
sick
a
example, and
workflow
we can test out the handing off workflows to agents as well.
Yeah.
So
So we have about 10 minutes, and so we
Let's
gotta
do the first step.
yeah. So let's get this work. I think we can build this simple workflow, or get a part of the workflow working.
okay.
So go to the workflows index, and I would just delete all this shit because this is like some weather stuff that we bootstrap. Like literally kill all of it.
All right.
Yeah, we'll start fresh.
Also, we'll use new workflows, so you can like get rid of everything in this. Honestly,
Yeah.
in this thing. Let's import. It's a import object import new workflow, and it's capital N, and then it's from Mastra core /workflows /vnext, which and vnext has a capital N, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. And so, we're going to import the function called create workflow. Instead of new workflow, that was my bad. It's called create workflow.
It makes me feel better that you made that. This isn't all from memory, Bobby. You actually made a mistake because I'm like, how the hell are you remembering this? It's like I need the docs pulled up so I know how to like actually walk you through this.
And then you need a second function called create step. That is, you can just do comma on line 2. Dope. And then let's create our workflow. You can name it like const or whatever you want to name that thing. Dope. I think it takes an ID instead of a name.
Is it just a string for the ID?
Yeah.
And then I believe description is cool. What is it? And it needs an input schema.
Let's see, what is it complaining about?
Input schema. Just like tools have an input schema, workflows have an input schema. You'll need to.
Where would that go? Just here?
This line, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Input.
You get Zod involved.
And so it should just be z.object and
Then I guess we only need what?
An extra special guest here.
yeah. So I mean, I guess we would want anything that we would potentially be searching, right? Anything that
Alice the cat today.
It wouldn't be a Mastra live stream without a pet or an animal,
yeah.
right?
Well, yeah. Yesterday was Ward's goats and horses. Today we got cats. All right, chat. That's if you want to jump on a live stream and build something, and also you got to bring an animal. That's you gotta show us how you built it, or show your screen and show an animal. That's
Do you know what parameter we need, Huey, for this workflow? It's just
when did the employee ID?
Employee, yeah, we're gonna need an employee ID.
make it required, dude.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Cool. Oh, you can just draw. I think by default it's required.
Yeah, if you just
Okay. We're also needing like a payout date. Okay, and then would I need to have a plan? No, because it can try to determine which plan it is. That should be enough information. Let's just say that's what it is.
Yeah. Now we need an output schema. What does the workflow return at the end?
Payout ID. We don't need a payout ID. So let's do, okay, maybe this one is just not optional. This one is needed for the output.
yeah, I don't know how well it does with that. I guess
Should be fine. I guess.
if it's deterministic, because we're just calling APIs, I don't know, maybe it would be optional, could be fine.
Cool.
Let's do a payout currency.
Nice.
Okay.
Let's ditch those steps on line, like all those steps on line 17. Like we don't need that.
Yeah.
Cool. So now you have like the top of the workflow. Let's create the first step. So what would be the first step of this process?
So we would need to grab a list of the commission plans and then figure out, well, actually we need to figure out, let's do this. Figure out which plan the employee is in, figure out the IDs for those plans, period, groups. Yep, get the commission rate. Oh, look at that. It's filling everything out for me. Tab.
Yeah, AI is tight.
All right, let's
Cool.
let's do that.
So let's do the first step. And what I like to do, so let's do like const, whatever we want to name it, like find plan or get employee plan. That sounds pretty good.
Okay.
And all that sounds pretty good.
Whoa.
What it's gonna do?
I clicked instead of tabbed.
Oh, it was there. Tab for victory. Okay, cool. That looks good. And then execute will have context there, so don't listen to it. But also, let's just keep this as it is. We'll keep the mock data so we can get the plumbing in together. On the next line, you're going to do whatever you named your workflow. I forget what it was called. Payouts workflow.
Yep.
Yeah, let's start writing payouts workflow dot then. Dot then. And then at the end of this, you're going to do dot commit, which is like saying that this is the workflow. And then that.
Is it complaining about the step here?
The property is the output. So like the workflow, we specified that the output schema has to have like all those fields above. If you scroll up, we said that it has to have payout date, payout ID, payout currency, right? Well, in a workflow, the last step is the results. So right now our last step doesn't have that. So for the sake of, we could just we can like mock out all this shit.
Got the output schema okay.
It's starting to learn you. Skynet is alive.
Okay, so
let's see. Now what is it complaining about? Input schema is incompatible. What was the input schema to employee plan? Okay. So we also need the input is missing the period group ID, I believe.
Yes. Get employee plan output. Okay, so
the workflow is like the entry, right? And then the first step is like the input has to be to match, right?
Yeah.
So that has to go into the input here, employee ID. There's no payout date. So this needs to have payout date here.
Yes.
Hey, look at that.
Yay. Okay, so now we got this, workflow. Let's export it at the top, like export the payouts workflow const at the top, I think, where we wrote it. We can just do it on line 5. Sick. Let's go to our agent now. And let's type workflows in our cap agent.
Yeah, right under tools.
Come on.
Okay, come on, tab. We're trying to tab to victory here.
Sometimes you just gotta write stuff. It's annoying. That's how spoiled we are now. Remember when you guys were using like Sublime and shit back in the day, and there was no tab anything? You just
I also sometimes just open things up in Vim for quick edits, and then I'm like, what am I doing?
I still use Vim.
Yeah, I mean I enjoy it, but it's nostalgia.
What's it complaining about? Can you do like one of those like restart the TS server type deals?
Yeah, I mean it's like Command Shift P maybe. Command Shift P is on like mod.
Yeah, Command Shift P, and then
restart. You just got it. Restart. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And we'll see if like. Usually, whenever I install a bunch of modules, I always lose my TS server.
Yeah, you basically got to restart. It looks like it.
We can get rid of that MCP stuff for now because we're not using it.
Yeah, and I think we've changed it slightly since when you originally started this, but it looks like it was kind of working. I didn't see there. All right.
Yeah. But then we should get rid of those other agents we're not using to clean up the workspace a little bit.
Okay.
If you scroll up like this MCP personal assistant thing, this is a real project now. We don't need the weather agent anymore.
We've graduated beyond.
We graduated. We'll bring memory back later too.
Yeah, our agent is doing sales now.
Yeah, it's a cap agent.
Sales commission, at least it's helping with sales commissions.
Okay, so this is the grand finale of what we're about to do. Also, I think you have the tools to make this thing dope too. But okay, what we need to do is we need to ask the agent to look up Charlie Kim, or like, I want to ask the agent, does Charlie Kim exist? If he does exist, then give me his details and give me his payouts, right? So we'll see how it goes.
This will not work because we don't have enough. But it would be passing out the fake data. Yep, he exists. Yeah. Great. Here's his information. New and marked as inactive in the system. Hey, we didn't tell it anything about this inactive thing. Okay, all right. I would have to give this information. Do I just give it some sample data?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's all fake right now. So we can
Yeah.
just say, yeah.
His bar and his.
Well, I think was it group ID was there a thing?
Yeah. His.
I don't think it's gonna call it properly, but that's fine. Oh, didn't really call it fine.
Also, do we? I don't. Does the workflow not show up under tools in the?
Can you refresh?
Yeah, let's refresh the page once just to see.
You scroll down on the right, maybe.
And if we go, if we go to workflows, that your workflow shows up, right?
No, we didn't add it. We didn't do that. We added it to the agent,
But not to the Mastra.
not to the master thing.
It
But that's
probably-
okay. That shouldn't
Yeah,
matter.
it shouldn't matter.
If you go back,
But yeah,
Oh,
you
here.
do we have any errors in our server? Is that why? Or?
I mean, yeah, we did do some updates, so I wonder, like, we can get rid of those other agents, and because any of those other agents that we got rid of, we can probably just get rid of.
Yeah, we gotta clean up the index file.
Missing export. Yeah.
And then,
So
and then
Mastra
we're gonna,
Let's
yeah,
kill that.
for those of you that just joined, we're about to wrap up here, but Huey has joined Abby and I to build I guess a sales commission agent or sales compensation agent. So we've been working on that. We're almost getting to the aha moment. It's not done, of course. There's way more to do, but we're getting close.
All right. Oh, all right. Some warnings.
Yep.
There it is.
Okay.
But we should call it through our agent, though.
Yeah. Let's see if we can go back to the agent and
And on the right, can you scroll down on the right column thing? There's
Okay,
our
there it
workflow,
is.
right?
yeah,
So let's just do a brute force. It's like, hey, call payments,
payouts, workflow.
payouts, dash workflow, I guess. I don't know. Whatever we named it.
Yeah, let's just see if it'll call it.
Ah. And employee ADP update. Yeah. Okay. It's giving me us the right information here.
Pretty sick. Pretty sick.
Okay, so it's going to look up.
Oh,
Employee ID.
did a
payout date.
date. Received a string. Oh, because we gave it like a date.
It's using this and it's not formatting and converting it to date.
I think you have to coerce it in Zod, or we just say string. Or what is, I don't, well, we're faking things now, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But if we go to our
Flows.
workflow, and wherever we did the date thing, I think we could do like a dot coerce.
Yeah, it'd probably be the initial up. Yeah, in that step.
Is it
Or-
before the?
We would need it in the workflow input schema, right?
Yeah, but also I think it's like, let me look up how Zod works again. Coerce.
That might be, yeah. I mean, it's a function. What's it doing? Does not exist on
Does not exist.
Zod.d.
I think it has to do z.coerce.date or something, maybe. I don't know, actually. Let me double check that.
Hey, it's valid syntax.
What are the odds it works first try?
Fucking zero.
Better
Never
than
does.
zero.
Never does.
All right, let's try it then.
Don't
You want to make a bet? I'm feeling good about this one.
I do feel good about this one.
All right.
Now,
No takers.
how hard would it be for us to add like automatic history? So if we're testing this, I can
Ooh,
just,
so easy. Let's go back.
but let's do
Yeah,
that.
let's go back to the code. We'll add some memory.
Oh, okay, let's do that.
For the cap agent,
Nope, that's not it.
there. You had memory already at the top there.
I
Just
did
pass it
have memory here.
I would. Yeah, you can keep all this. I don't know. I would, instead of like, just comment out all the parameters and we probably
Yeah,
don't want to like introduce all this randomness right now.
Yeah, I would just do like you can just do like an empty new memory, right?
Yeah.
And that'll give you the kind of sensible defaults. We can of course do more, but it's good to start with the basics and then
Yeah. So you do memory : new memory, empty like that.
yeah, just do a new memory, and then we can and then just
Nothing inside.
just like an empty object.
Sorry. Here we go. It's being too smart.
What's the issue here?
Memories outside of Mastra memory. New memory. Am I importing memory from Mastra memory? Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Because we need what, libsql now?
Oh, we need storage on our Mastra class.
Technically we shouldn't actually.
Yeah.
If you omit those brackets in there, like you just do naked, like does anything different happen? No. What did we screw up? Resolution node. What the heck is that? It's the storage that's going on in there. Okay, we'll fix this. Can you go to your terminal and install npmi at
PM.
Sorry, npmi at Mastra /libsql. And then here I'm gonna paste this in our. I'll place this in our private chat. Yeah, you can use this as your memory.
Yeah, we don't yeah, so if you grab that, let's just use that. I think I ran into this actually, but I felt like I found a way around it.
Cool, and you try to import.
There we go.
We're still having this issue. Oh wait, where's new memory? It needs to be there still.
Oh, is
Yeah,
it just storage?
Oh no,
No,
it should be memory, and then you just need new memory, and then wrap that in an object.
I think Himanshu could be correct because we were coming from npm and pnpm. So let's try his suggestion, and let's delete the node modules folder. Because we just Himanshu, for your information, we just upgraded everything before we did all this.
So remove the node modules folder?
Yeah.
And I gotta sign off here in like 3 minutes, so I might have to dip, and Abby, you can wrap this thing up.
I also have to dip. So
Yeah, we
we have
have
3 minutes to succeed.
we have 3 minutes to figure this thing out, and if we don't, we will have to revisit. For those of you that just joined us, we are building a sales compensation agent with Mastra right now, and running into some familiar or maybe not familiar type errors.
Some typical TypeScript bullshit. Look at that.
Hey, but we also
No, there's more. No, yeah, it's just it's a symptom of a disease.
fixed one thing to
Maybe we do have an issue that we'll take a look at, but let's see if the server starts.
all.
Well, it's just a TypeScript freaking error. That's great. You have chat history now. If you say hello, it'll like start a chat. As you can see, you got a new thread on the left there.
All right. And after we run this and it works, because it's going to, I have faith. Payouts workflow.
Hey,
All right. That was the mic drop moment. We obviously have some
Hey.
TypeScript issues we got to work out. For those of you that have joined, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something. You fixed some errors alongside of us, and we appreciate you checking out the live stream. Make sure to go to Mastra.BUILD if you want to hack alongside of us this week. We have a Mastra Hackathon going on all week long, so it's not too late to sign up and get into the Discord. Huey, thanks for jumping on and being brave and just sharing your screen and building. So I know that's sometimes challenging, but it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
All right, dude. Let's wrap this
All
thing
right.
up.
Thanks everyone. We are all the admirals of AI. Thanks for joining. We will see you soon. I head to Japan tomorrow. I will
Yeah.
probably have a live stream with Tony in Japan.
Yeah, the live stream schedule is going to be a little weird the next month, probably.
Yeah.
Just because we will probably be doing some more separate live streams. So you'll get to see either Abhi with maybe Tony on our team or me with some special guests. We have some really cool special guests coming on throughout the week, more hackathon participants. We have, we're going to be talking about some AI security. Be talking about another hackathon that we're not doing, but someone else is hopefully joining and talking about more hackathons that you can participate in. But we will see you all next time.
Yep.